What happens when humanity's last hope for survival depends on an alien civilization that doesn't trust us? You won't believe how far two scientists will go to protect Earth, and what they're forced to sacrifice in return. The expedition vessel descended through Nirvana's thick atmosphere, buffeted by swirling clouds that glowed faintly blue from bioluminescent particles suspended in the air. Dr. Michael Hart adjusted his visor as he peered out at the endless expanse of water below, feeling both exhilaration and trepidation grip him simultaneously. Beside him, Alex Grace meticulously calibrated her equipment, her sharp eyes scanning readouts for any anomalies. This mission wasn't just another scientific endeavor. It was Earth's last hope. Back home, ecosystems were collapsing under the weight of centuries of exploitation, and time was running out. Humanity had sent probes to countless worlds, but none had offered the promise of renewal until now. As the ship touched down on a floating platform anchored above Nirvana's deepest trench, the crew prepared for their first dive. The planet's surface was a kaleidoscope of colors, with shimmering waves reflecting hues of turquoise, violet, and gold. It was breathtakingly beautiful, yet eerily silent. There were no birds, no wind rustling through trees, just the gentle lapping of water against the hull of their vessel. Michael couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, though he dismissed it as nerves. He reminded himself that this was uncharted territory, a place where every discovery could rewrite textbooks or doom their species. Alex approached him, holding a tablet displaying preliminary scans of the ocean floor. "Michael," she said, her voice tinged with excitement. "Look at this." She pointed to a series of unusual formations deep beneath the surface, structures that seemed too symmetrical to be natural. They resembled underwater cities, sprawling networks of spires and domes encrusted with what appeared to be coral-like material. But these weren't ordinary corals. They pulsed faintly with an inner light, suggesting some form of energy emanating from within. "What do you think?" Alex asked, her eyes wide with curiosity. "I don't know," Michael replied cautiously. "But if I didn't know better, I'd say those look like buildings." The implications were staggering. If these structures were indeed man-made, or rather alien-made, it meant they weren't alone. And if there was life here, intelligent life, then perhaps they held the key to solving Earth's crises. Michael felt a surge of adrenaline mixed with fear. What if this discovery wasn't meant to be shared? What if the inhabitants of Nirvana viewed humanity not as saviors but as invaders? These questions gnawed at him as they suited up for their descent into the unknown. We're only beginning to scratch the surface of what lies ahead. Trust me, you won't want to miss how this story unfolds when these explorers face challenges far greater than they ever anticipated. The submersible plunged into the depths of Nirvana's ocean, its powerful floodlights cutting through the murky water. As they descended, the temperature dropped sharply, and the pressure increased exponentially. Yet despite the harsh conditions, life thrived here in abundance. Schools of iridescent fish darted past the viewport, their scales glittering like gemstones. Strange creatures with elongated limbs and translucent bodies floated lazily, seemingly unperturbed by the intruders. It was a world unlike anything Alex or Michael had ever seen, a testament to evolution's boundless creativity. But it was the structures that captured their attention. Up close, the spires and domes revealed intricate carvings etched into their surfaces, patterns that spiraled and intertwined in ways that defied logic. Some parts of the architecture emitted soft pulses of light, synchronized with the rhythm of the surrounding currents. It was as if the entire city breathed in harmony with the ocean itself. Then, something extraordinary happened. A ripple disturbed the water directly in front of them, followed by a flash of movement too quick to track. At first, Michael thought it might have been a trick of the light, but then it appeared again, a sleek, translucent creature hovering just outside the submersible. Its body shimmered like liquid glass, refracting the light in mesmerizing patterns. Most astonishingly, it didn't behave like an animal driven by instinct. Instead, It moved with purpose, circling the vessel as if studying it. "Is that real?" Alex whispered, her voice trembling with awe. "It has to be," Michael replied, though his tone betrayed uncertainty. "But what is it?" The creature lingered for several minutes before vanishing into the darkness. Moments later, vibrations began resonating through the submersible. Not sounds, but sensations that reverberated directly within their minds. Images flooded their thoughts. Visions of the ocean, of symbiosis between species, of a civilization thriving in harmony with its environment. It was communication, but unlike anything they had experienced before. Back aboard the main vessel, the crew debated what to make of the encounter. Skeptics dismissed it as a fluke, attributing the phenomenon to environmental factors or faulty equipment. But Michael and Alex knew better. They had witnessed something profound, a glimpse into a world far more complex than anyone had imagined. This is where things start getting intense. You're about to witness a moment that will change everything, not just for our protagonists but potentially for all of humanity. Stay tuned because trust me, you don't want to look away now. Over the next few days, Michael and Alex dedicated themselves to deciphering the mysterious signals transmitted by the aquatic beings. Using advanced algorithms and linguistic models, they pieced together fragments of meaning from the vibrations. Slowly, a picture began to emerge. The creatures called themselves aquaforms, ancient custodians of Nirvana's oceans who had evolved alongside their environment over millions of years. Their society was built on principles of balance and cooperation, each individual contributing to the collective well-being of their ecosystem. What shocked Michael and Alex most, however, was the technology these beings possessed. Through their mental exchanges, the aquaforms hinted at capabilities far beyond human comprehension, technologies capable of restoring damaged ecosystems, purifying polluted waters, and even reversing climate change. For a species on the brink of collapse, this knowledge represented nothing short of salvation. Yet the aquaforms also issued warnings. They spoke of risks inherent in tampering with nature's delicate equilibrium, emphasizing that power wielded irresponsibly could lead to catastrophic consequences. Balance must prevail, one particularly vivid transmission conveyed, or annihilation awaits. Meanwhile, word of the discovery spread back to Earth. News outlets picked up the story, sensationalizing every detail. Governments scrambled to assert control, corporations saw opportunities for profit, and factions argued over whether such power should even exist. Amidst the chaos, Michael and Alex found themselves caught in a maelstrom of conflicting interests. Who should decide how this knowledge was used? And who would ensure it wasn't misused? For Alex, the ethical dilemmas weighed heavily. She believed humanity deserved a second chance, but she couldn't ignore the potential dangers. Michael, on the other hand, struggled with doubts about humanity's capacity for restraint. History had shown time and again that people often prioritized greed over responsibility. Could they truly handle such immense power? Or would they repeat the same mistakes that had brought them to the brink of extinction? As tensions mounted, so did the pressure on the expedition team. Every decision felt monumental, every action fraught with consequences. Little did they know, their struggles were only beginning. Back on Earth, the discovery of Nirvana's intelligent aquatic civilization sent shockwaves through every level of society. News outlets broadcasted conflicting reports. Some hailed the aquaforms as benevolent saviors capable of reversing humanity's ecological collapse, while others painted them as enigmatic threats whose motives remained unclear. Governments convened emergency summits, corporate lobbyists swarmed decision-makers, and grassroots movements demanded transparency. Amidst this chaos, Michael and Alex found themselves at the center of a storm they hadn't anticipated. On board the expedition vessel, tensions simmered among the crew. Some believed sharing aquaform technology with humanity was their moral obligation, a chance to redeem centuries of environmental destruction. Others argued that such power could destabilize global politics, enabling authoritarian regimes or profit-driven conglomerates to exploit it for selfish ends. The debate reached a fever pitch during one particularly heated meeting in the ship's command center. "I'm not risking my life so some corporation can patent alien tech," snapped Sophia Patel, the team's lead engineer, her voice sharp with frustration. "This isn't about us anymore. It's bigger than that." "And what do you suggest we do instead?" countered Marcus Lee, a geologist with ties to several multinational firms funding the mission. "Hide it? Pretend it doesn't exist? That won't stop anyone from coming here if they think there's something valuable down there." Michael tried to mediate, but even he struggled to reconcile his own conflicting emotions. He understood Sophia's concerns. History had shown how easily good intentions could be corrupted, but he also knew humanity couldn't afford to squander this opportunity. Alex, meanwhile, remained unusually quiet, her focus fixed on analyzing new data streams from recent dives. When she finally spoke, her words silenced the room. "We're missing the point," she said firmly. "The aquaforms didn't offer us their knowledge outright. They gave us glimpses, not solutions. If we rush into this without understanding the full picture, we'll destroy everything they've worked to protect." Her warning hung heavy in the air, but it did little to quell the growing divide. Later that evening, Michael received an encrypted message from an unknown sender. The contents chilled him to the bone. Detailed plans for covert operations aimed at seizing control of Nirvana's resources, along with veiled threats should he attempt to interfere. Paranoia crept in, casting suspicion over everyone around him, even those he trusted most. As days passed, Michael became increasingly withdrawn, consumed by the weight of the secrets he carried. He confided only in Alex, who urged caution but couldn't deny the urgency of their situation. Together, they agreed to keep the intercepted message hidden, fearing it would exacerbate tensions aboard the ship. But paranoia has a way of spreading, infecting even the strongest bonds. One night, while reviewing surveillance footage of restricted areas near the underwater structures, Alex noticed something unsettling. Unauthorized drones probing depths marked off-limits by aquaform protocols. At first glance, they appeared innocuous, standard exploration bots equipped with cameras and sampling tools. But closer inspection revealed modifications designed for stealth and sabotage. Someone or something was watching closely. Determined to uncover the truth, Alex traced the drone's signal back to their source, a private research lab funded by a shadowy consortium known only as the Syndicate. Their involvement wasn't surprising. Rumors of their interest in extraterrestrial resources had circulated for years. What shocked Alex was the extent of their reach. They had infiltrated not just Earth-based organizations but also key members of the expedition team. When confronted, one junior scientist broke down under questioning, admitting to planting surveillance devices throughout the vessel. His confession implicated higher-ranking officials, including Marcus Lee, whose connections to the Syndicate ran deeper than anyone suspected. The revelation fractured trust within the crew, leaving Michael and Alex isolated and vulnerable. Desperate for allies, they turned to Sophia Patel, whose skepticism toward corporate interests made her a natural candidate. Though initially reluctant, Sophia agreed to help after witnessing firsthand the lengths to which certain factions would go to secure aquaform secrets. Together, the trio devised a plan to safeguard critical data by creating decoy systems designed to mislead prying eyes. Yet betrayal struck unexpectedly when another crew member sabotaged key components, nearly compromising the entire operation. With time running out and danger closing in, Alex doubled down on her efforts to decode additional aquaform transmissions. She hoped to find answers before external forces intervened, believing that understanding their origins might provide insight into navigating the current crisis. Her persistence paid off during a routine analysis of geological samples collected from the ocean floor. Hidden within layers of sediment were fragments of artifacts older than recorded history, relics bearing symbols resembling constellations etched into stone. Intrigued, Alex brought the findings to Michael, who immediately recognized their significance. "These aren't random patterns," he said, tracing his fingers along the carvings. "They're coordinates, star charts." Further investigation revealed that the star charts corresponded to locations scattered across the galaxy, each marked with annotations suggesting sites of ancient civilizations. The implications were staggering. The aquaforms weren't native to Nirvana. They were refugees, survivors of a once great interstellar empire driven to extinction by forces unknown. But why had they settled here? And what role did Nirvana play in their survival? To answer these questions, Michael and Alex decided to venture deeper into unexplored regions of the ocean, guided by clues embedded in the artifacts. Along the way, they encountered more aquaforms, who seemed to anticipate their arrival. Through mental exchanges, the beings conveyed fragmented memories of their past, visions of war, migration, and adaptation. One image stood out above all others: a colossal structure buried beneath Nirvana's seabed, radiating energy unlike anything detected before. Could this be the source of their advanced technology? Or something far more dangerous? Preparations for the dive into Nirvana's deepest trench were fraught with anxiety. Equipment checks stretched late into the night, and sleep eluded the crew as they grappled with mounting uncertainties. For Michael and Alex, the stakes felt impossibly high. Success meant unlocking the secrets of the aquaform's power and potentially saving humanity. Failure meant triggering consequences neither could fully comprehend. As the submersible descended, the water grew colder and darker, until floodlights barely penetrated the abyssal gloom. Strange sounds echoed through the hull, low-frequency vibrations that resonated deep within their bones. Then, abruptly, the lights illuminated something massive looming ahead. It was the structure hinted at by the artifacts. A towering monolith encased in coral-like material, its surface pulsating with an eerie blue glow. Approaching cautiously, Michael and Alex marveled at its complexity. Intricate patterns spiraled across its facade, shifting and rearranging like living organisms. Touching the surface triggered a cascade of sensations, a flood of images and emotions overwhelming their senses. Visions of creation and destruction unfolded before them, depicting cycles of growth and decay spanning eons. Suddenly, alarms blared inside the submersible. Sensors detected rapid changes in water pressure and temperature, signaling instability. Before they could retreat, the monolith emitted a pulse of energy that knocked out their systems, plunging them into darkness. The submersible systems flickered back to life, but the damage was undeniable. Warning lights blinked furiously across the control panel, and the hum of the engines had been replaced by an unsettling silence. Michael gripped the edge of his seat, his knuckles white as he tried to assess their situation. Alex, meanwhile, focused on stabilizing their oxygen supply, her hands moving with practiced precision despite the tension in the air. "What just happened?" Michael asked, his voice tight with unease. "I don't know," Alex replied, her eyes scanning the readouts. But whatever that pulse was, it wasn't random. It felt deliberate. As they regained partial functionality, the monolith loomed larger than ever in their viewport. Its surface now shimmered with renewed intensity, pulsing in sync with the vibrations they had felt earlier. Then, without warning, a section of the structure began to shift, revealing an opening large enough for the submersible to enter. "We can't just go in there," Michael said, his instincts screaming caution. "And we can't stay out here either," Alex countered. "If this thing is trying to communicate, maybe it's showing us something important. Besides, do you really want to risk leaving before we understand what triggered that pulse?" Reluctantly, Michael agreed. Guiding the vessel into the monolith's interior, they found themselves enveloped in an otherworldly chamber bathed in soft, ethereal light. The walls were lined with crystalline formations that refracted the glow into dazzling patterns, creating an almost hypnotic effect. At the center of the room stood a pedestal-like structure, atop which rested a glowing orb. Approaching cautiously, Alex extended a robotic arm to analyze the artifact. As soon as the sensors made contact, a surge of energy coursed through the submersible, flooding their minds with visions. They saw glimpses of Nirvana's distant past, a thriving world teeming with life, until cataclysmic events forced the aquaforms to adapt or perish. They witnessed the construction of the monolith, designed not only as a repository of knowledge but also as a failsafe against existential threats. And finally, they saw humanity not as saviors but as potential catalysts for disaster. "This isn't just technology," Alex murmured, her voice tinged with awe and dread. "It's a weapon, a defense mechanism." Back aboard the expedition vessel, chaos erupted as news of Earth's impending intervention reached Nirvana. Military fleets entered orbit, their warships bristling with weapons capable of obliterating the planet's fragile ecosystem. Official channels claimed the operation was peacekeeping, aimed at securing aquaform technology for global benefit. But Michael and Alex knew better. This was conquest masked as diplomacy. Frantic calls from Earth went unanswered as the team scrambled to prepare for the worst. Sophia Patel worked tirelessly to reinforce the ship's defenses, while Marcus Lee, still loyal to the Syndicate, attempted to broker a deal with Earth's forces. His betrayal came to light when encrypted messages between him and military officials were intercepted, revealing plans to seize control of Nirvana regardless of collateral damage. "Marcus always wanted power," Sophia spat, her anger palpable. "He doesn't care about Nirvana or us." With time running out, Michael and Alex devised a desperate plan. Using data gathered from the monolith, they activated ancient mechanisms buried beneath the seabed. These systems generated a protective barrier around Nirvana, shielding it from orbital bombardment. The shield's activation triggered violent storms above, forcing Earth's ships to retreat temporarily. But victory came at a cost. Lives were lost during the skirmish, including several members of the crew who sacrificed themselves to buy time. Trust shattered, alliances fractured, and guilt weighed heavily on Michael and Alex's shoulders. Had they done enough, or merely delayed inevitable doom? Amidst the turmoil, Michael and Alex faced an agonizing decision. Armed with the knowledge gleaned from the monolith, they could share aquaform technology with humanity, but doing so risked unleashing forces beyond comprehension. Alternatively, they could withhold aid altogether, condemning billions to suffering. Both options carried unbearable consequences. Complicating matters further was the realization that the aquaforms themselves remained divided. Some factions supported sharing their secrets, believing humanity deserved a second chance. Others viewed humans as inherently destructive, incapable of wielding such power responsibly. Through mental exchanges, Michael and Alex pleaded for unity, emphasizing the importance of balance over fear. Ultimately, the choice fell to them. Summoning every ounce of courage, they addressed the crew and, via holographic broadcast, Earth itself. In a heartfelt speech, Michael outlined the stakes, urging humanity to embrace cooperation over conflict. Alex followed with a presentation detailing the aquaform's history, highlighting their struggles and triumphs. Together, they proposed a middle ground: limited access to aquaform tech under strict oversight, coupled with global reforms aimed at sustainability. Reactions were mixed. While many embraced the proposal, others dismissed it as naive idealism. Behind closed doors, factions plotted revenge, vowing to seize control by any means necessary. Despite these challenges, Michael and Alex refused to give up. Their journey wasn't over, it had merely transformed. In the aftermath of the standoff, rebuilding trust became paramount. Treaties were signed, trade agreements forged, and cultural exchanges initiated. Yet beneath diplomatic facades, distrust lingered. Rumors circulated of rogue factions planning sabotage, seeking to exploit loopholes in existing accords. To counteract these threats, Michael and Alex traveled extensively, advocating for transparency and accountability. They collaborated with Aquaform representatives to establish protocols ensuring peaceful coexistence. Progress remained slow, fragile, yet hopeful. Along the way, they encountered individuals willing to listen, scientists, activists, and leaders inspired by their message of unity. One such ally was Dr. Elena Vega, a renowned ecologist whose groundbreaking work on sustainable agriculture aligned perfectly with Aquaform principles. Together, they spearheaded initiatives promoting education about interstellar ethics, emphasizing shared responsibility. Slowly, attitudes shifted, paving the way for genuine collaboration. Still, shadows loomed large. Unknown adversaries continued scheming behind closed doors, waiting for opportunities to strike. Every step forward seemed accompanied by setbacks, testing resilience daily. Despite outward progress, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that the Aquaforms harbored secrets undisclosed, even to their closest human allies. Her suspicions deepened during a routine dive, when she discovered evidence suggesting the monolith contained additional chambers sealed off from previous exploration. Confronting the truth tested Michael and Alex's resolve. Venturing deeper into the structure, they uncovered artifacts revealing aspects of Aquaform society previously concealed. Among them were records of experiments gone awry, resulting in unintended ecological devastation. The implications were sobering. Even beings as advanced as the Aquaforms weren't infallible. These revelations sparked heated debates among Earth's leaders. Skeptics argued that trusting Aquaform guidance amounted to gambling with humanity's future. Supporters countered that learning from their mistakes offered invaluable lessons. Caught between opposing sides, Michael and Alex struggled to maintain neutrality, knowing failure meant disaster. Rallying supporters worldwide, Michael organized summits aimed at fostering transparency and accountability. Alex spearheaded initiatives promoting education about interstellar ethics, emphasizing shared responsibility. Progress remained slow, fragile, yet hopeful. Behind the scenes, however, danger lurked. Rogue factions launched covert attacks on Aquaform structures, attempting to disable the planetary shield. Each assault brought renewed fears of escalation. Determined to prevent catastrophe, Michael and Alex took drastic measures, enlisting help from unlikely allies, including former enemies like Marcus Lee, who sought redemption after realizing the error of his ways. Together, they implemented advanced security systems designed to detect and neutralize threats before they materialized. Public outreach campaigns highlighted success stories, inspiring hope amidst uncertainty. Slowly, humanity began to see Nirvana not as a resource to exploit, but as a partner in survival. Months passed, bringing gradual change. Bonds strengthened, transcending differences. Still, doubts persisted. Unknown adversaries continued plotting revenge, seeking to exploit weaknesses in existing accords. Michael and Alex faced relentless pressure, balancing optimism with pragmatism. They knew peace was fragile, requiring constant vigilance. Yet moments of beauty reminded them why the struggle mattered. Children learning about Aquaform culture, ecosystems healing thanks to newfound technologies, and communities coming together to rebuild what had been lost. Hope endured, even as challenges mounted. For Michael and Alex, the journey had become more than a mission. It was a testament to resilience, determination, and the enduring belief that humanity could rise above its flaws. Ultimately, survival depended on adaptation. Humanity learned valuable lessons from Nirvana's guardians, adopting practices prioritizing sustainability over profit. Bonds strengthened, transcending differences. Though challenges remained, hope endured. Standing side by side with Aquaforms, Michael and Alex gazed toward distant stars, envisioning brighter futures built on cooperation instead of conquest. Their journey hadn't ended. It had merely transformed, carrying promise of new beginnings. If you enjoyed this thrilling tale of discovery and destiny, subscribe now for more captivating stories exploring the mysteries of the universe.